what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. So Wilson Alexander, I thought, had a great piece drop in the Advocate today, and it is a deep dive into LSU's NIL situation. And this number lines up, Jake, with I think what I've heard as well, which is that LSU budgeted for $8 million this year. I think they ended up spending over $7 million. I don't think they hit that 8 number. One interesting note from the article, Jason Belzer, whose company, Student Athlete NIL, operates 62 Division I collectives. So he has a lot of knowledge on the situation. He said the median amount that SEC collectives will spend next season is going to be $10 million.
That's the median amount.
Yeah, so the top-end SEC teams will be spending 13 to 15, and the median throughout the Power 4 conferences will be about $4.5 million. So as you can see, the top end of the SEC is going to be nearly triple, estimated at least, that of the kind of normal Power 4, if you will. But I guess the takeaways from this article are more about, and this is still all fallout from the defensive tackle search, right? Do you have money? The takeaways from the article are more about some LSU's philosophies. First off, the majority of the spending is in roster retention, not addition, which does line up, Jake, with the fact, with kind of Brian Kelly's roster building theory, which is wanting to build through high school and develop, right? Saying that, okay, the biggest of paydays that you will receive here will be after you kind of, when you come here originally, and then when you prove to be a very good player, that's when you're going to get paid. And I thought that Austin Thomas had some very interesting quotes where he talked about you don't want a player or certain players becoming so inflated, like you don't want to get over your skis where you inflate one position, then another position's like, because this is how negotiations work. Like, oh, well, he's getting that. Well, I should be getting more. I should be getting this. And then it reaches a place where it becomes untenable, right? And you could say that they're not being fully honest in this because they said they had the funds to pay a Dominic Williams or a Simeon Barrow, but it was kind of a managed choice not to pay. And again, you could say that that's a spin job. I actually kind of take it at face value because I feel like their actions do line up with their philosophies, whether it's letting these guys or whether it's not matching the offer made for Williams and Barrow, whether it's not matching the offer made for Lance Hurd early in this offseason because it was an offer that would have put him above the starting tackles. Like, yeah, LSU is trying to manage the roster while focusing on retention over addition. And I guess the overall point is LSU, yeah, they're not at the top, but they're also not in like any sort of dire straits financially, like I've wondered would eventually happen at times because of a weaker Louisiana economy.
You know, honestly, this is the same approach that Georgia kind of has in NIL space. Yeah. Retention's been big for Kirby Smart. He's talked about that numerous amount of times. They only took 6 players out of the transfer portal. They needed more help than they got in the portal because of the same reasons. Kirby's talked about it a ton about, hey, I'm going to retain my players. I'm going to make sure that they are taken care of first, and then also high school recruiting. So LSU's not the only one that's kind of following this same path. Like you take a look at who Georgia took in the transfer portal, and they very easily could have, gotten in on the defensive tackle sweepstakes because they need one as well, but they didn't because they had the same approach. And so you might see this from some of the top programs that can recruit at an elite level out of high school. Now, Ole Miss is never going to recruit like LSU and Georgia out of high school. Just never going to happen. What were they, 28th, 29th or something like that in the final high school recruiting rankings? That's just who they're going to be. So Lane Kiffin, well, he's going to be the portal king. He's going to spend all of his NIL money and probably going to go back to ask for more once he's hit the limit. That's how they're going to be built. Now, we don't have a good enough case study, I don't think, to be able to tell which way is going to be able to last longer than the other.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a perfect world, a coach would find the more high school recruiting build, the more attractive one because it's less volatile and it's less turnover. And I think all coaches are going to value consistency. But again, I think Ole Miss is doing the best. Like, they found a very nice angle here, and they're exploiting it. And one thing Ole Miss is incredible at is crowdfunding. And that would be one of the other takeaways here, is that is the area in which LSU needs a lot of help. Here's a quote from the article. We're trying to lower the barriers to entry, so to speak. And just that the everyday person who wants to give $50 a month just to be able to help and feel a part of it. Once the average fan comes to collective, I think everything changes and it becomes much wider, much deeper, much healthier. So I would agree if you could somehow stimulate crowdfunding that it would become wider, healthier, and deeper. But I got to say, when I see a line, average fan, $50 a month, I would ask the audience, what's your appetite for paying per month for college football?
Well, how much?
Because I'm not going to lie, Jake, I don't feel like I want to give my money to these kids at all.
And there's going to be a lot of people that are like that. And also, like, when we were, playing for LSU, I felt like people gave $50 to Taft, and they wanted the Taft sticker on the back of their car.
Yeah.
And they would give, and like, hey, look, I'm giving to the program. But it's now like you have Taft, you have Collective, you have so many different things going on. Who do I give to? How much can I give? Where's this money going? Where used to, when people would give the $50, the $100 a month, some of those smaller donations, well, they kind of knew, okay, this is going for facilities, right? This is going to have us on the forefront of the state-of-the-art building and the cafeterias and all these things. I think now there's a lot of people, the casual fan, that's going to give that $50, $100 a month. They've got more questions. Well, what is this going towards? Who is this going to benefit? Where is my money going to have the biggest reach?
There's something, so this is one of the key differences between something like the NFL and NIL is there's something that on a personal level I don't love about knowing, like, me giving up my money so that a college kid that already makes more than me can make more money. That doesn't feel great. And I think that's a really big hurdle to overcome. And I think that when you look at, okay, well, how does Ole Miss do it? It's because they've never experienced the success that they have had before, right? So they're all in. This is new. This is exciting. LSU fans are a bit more spoiled. We've seen a lot of national championships. You're used to being near the top. And so, again, like I said, it just doesn't feel great, again, for me to think that, okay, I'm taking money out of my bank account and I'm giving it to kids whose bank accounts are already way healthier than mine. This is not some billionaire owner paying the salary of these cats. Like, something about that, it doesn't hold a lot of attraction for me.
I think you make a fair point, and we talked about the story of the Mountain West Player of the Year from a year ago playing for Utah State. He had already started at Montana State, goes to Utah State, now he's going to Washington, getting $1.8 million to go play basketball at Washington. There's going to be people that see that, and they're incredibly turned off by that. Like, there is a fraction of a fan base. Now, for Washington, they wanted to go all in because their basketball program was once the crown jewel of their athletic department. It's no longer that. So Ole Miss in the same situation. And this isn't me, like, spreading rumors, but you hear whispers about Ole Miss literally going all in. Like, if it doesn't work, then they're going to have to rethink the way that they're doing things. Now, if it works, what does that give you? It gives you more excitement for the program. It gives you more resources and more funds because you've had success and you're going to continue to rise with that success. But if it doesn't work this year, which, I mean, I think it is going to work, but if it doesn't work this year, I've talked to plenty of people in the SEC that say next year you'll see a big drop-off in some of the NIL money that's being given right now because they've moved it all the way up to the max.
It's just investing, people who invest their money want to see returns on said investment.
But a place like LSU and Georgia, I feel like, not to cut you off,
go ahead.
I feel like they're going to give, right? They're going to give because they've seen it in the history of the programs. So even if LSU went 5-5 this year, in regular season play, league play, whatever it might be, like, and they're at 500, I don't think it's just going to halt there before the season ends. Like, they're still going to give
I think Ole Miss would still be able to come up with some, but they wouldn't be able to come up with the 10 to 12 million, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, LSU will always be able to come up with the 7 or 8 or whatever the case may be.
And I think some of that's because of the past history of the program. They've won 4 national championships. They've won 3 in the last 25 years. And so it's, hey, you know what? It was terrible this year, but I know with just a little bit of help we can get there. Where with Ole Miss, like, the rumor is that they are literally all in, and if it doesn't go their way this year, you'll see a drop-off.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I I believe that. Whereas, so I think the kind of flip side of that is LSU fans are not all in right now. LSU would need to have some of the success that Ole Miss has had the last couple of years by doing things they maybe haven't done in a while, and then maybe you would see LSU fans start to push those chips to the center of the table. This feels like a very kind of median approach thus far for LSU. The point is, okay, so I said here are the big takeaways to wrap up. LSU is fine financially. It's not that you don't have the money. You are very competitive there. They are taking a more managed approach. And the other big takeaway is that the one area they need improvement is grassroots funding. And again, I just wonder what the appetite like that is for in a place like Louisiana where, a lot of people are kind of struggling to get by maybe a bit more. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.